Hi, today I want to share with you what I do when I get a new deck. So there are a couple of things in this video that I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about how I pick up my deck, so how I choose what deck that I want to get. And I'm going to show you a little organization system that I have where I keep track of my deck wish list, the decks that I currently have, whether or not I have made a bag for them, whether or not I have bonded with them. And then I also want to share with you how I shuffle my decks when I just get them in, as well as what deck interview that I do with my new decks. So if you're interested in all of that, that is what is coming up in this video. I will put timestamps in the description box below if you're not interested in some things but are in other things. That will all be there. So let's first get started with how I chose this deck. So I'm first going to open it up. I have already done a video on how I made this bag for this deck, and that will either be up soon or be already up. So this is the Tarot of the Divine. I do have the box here, but I kind of messed it up on the inside. I wanted to line it with satin, and now it just smells like glue and looks disgusting, but that's fine. I have a bag for it, so I might just have to throw out the box. Anyway, how I pick out this deck, I have an entire table on my Notion, is what I use for my digital book of shadows. And I have an entire table of my deck wish list. So I have priorities, the ones that I want to buy next, whether it is tarot or oracle, prices, where I can buy them, and then I have a pick of the deck. So whenever I feel like it's the right time to bring a new deck into my collection, I look at this list, and I know that right now I do have quite a lot of tarot decks, but I don't have a lot of oracle decks. So next time I'll look at the oracle decks that I have, and then the up next one, so I'll probably get either the Divine Animal Oracle or the Legendary Ladies Oracle deck, and maybe I want to look at some other. But yeah, so that is how I choose the decks. And before they even get into this table, I look up YouTube flip-throughs, or I look on Google. I Google it, and then I look at the images, and sometimes I will just feel very connected to a certain deck, to the certain images, and I just know that I have to have it. And that was the case with this one, as well as the background of this deck. It says here it is inspired by deities, folklore, and fairy tales from around the world. And I found that super interesting, as well as there is a book that goes with this that has the fairy tales from each card even more in depth. So I just think that that is great. Yeah, so that is how I choose which deck I want to get. Once I have gotten the deck in-house, first thing I do is film a flip through for my YouTube channel. And I will also put it in this table that I have in Notion about the decks that I own. And I have the name of the deck, whether it's tarot or oracle, and whether or not I have made a bag for it and what my bag idea for it is, as well as whether or not I have bonded with a deck. So that means that I can use it for readings, personal readings, or for my YouTube channel. Whether or not I can use a deck for readings for my YouTube channel. So that is the next thing that I do. And then I go to shuffling. And before I get to actual shuffling, I do this. So I have shown you in a couple of my deck flip throughs that this is what I do. Usually I have it flipped around, but because I want to actually look at all the images, I'm just doing it like this. So I place the cards like this, as many as I can fit. Let's do 7 here. And on whatever pile I want to put the next card, I will put the next card. And I do this with my decks, not just when I first get them, but I also do this like this morning or like an hour ago. I wanted to do a reading for somebody else, and I wanted to use my True Heart Intuitive Tarot deck. And I just really felt like I needed to look at all the images again. So I did this as well. And that one is already shuffled, but it just make sure that it is really well shuffled, that I've gotten a chance to see all the colors, to have seen all of the images, kind of remember what they all look like. So and also that I have actually touched every card. Of course, I do touch every card because I do a flip through of all of my decks, but yeah, I do this. So I'm gonna speed this up for you until we get to the end. So now that I have made this mess, I'm gonna take one pile and I'm gonna shuffle this. Okay, so this shuffles pretty nicely. And what I usually do when I shuffle these piles is that I listen to music that I associate with the deck. So when I shuffled the True Heart Intuitive deck an hour ago, I listened to some love music because the person who I was gonna do a reading for, they wanted a reading on love. So that is what I did. So for this deck, I will probably, I'm not gonna do it right now because I'm gonna do this again another time just for myself and really have it be its own ritual. But I will probably listen to like fairy tale or kind of spiritual, inspirational music, maybe even Disney. So this is what I'm gonna do for all the piles, and then I'll be back again. So now I've made all of these piles, and I just pick up two piles that I feel like I wanna shuffle. Look at, those are all the same color schemes. These just caught my eye. So I'm gonna shuffle these, and then I will do the same for the other piles. And again, I will be back. And now we're gonna go into the deck interview. So I keep track of this in my Notion as well. And I'll share that hopefully a little on the screen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shuffle it and I'm gonna ask the deck to describe itself with one or two cards. Okay, so there's one already, and I'm just gonna shuffle it to see if the second one pops out or if I see a second one. And if not, we're just gonna go with that card. So this one, we have the King of Swords and the King of Coins, which I find very interesting because we have two kings. So the Master of Swords, so the Master of mental abilities, of intelligence, as well as the Master of material things. So I'm gonna write that down. So now I'm gonna take the guidebook and I'm gonna look at what this says. So for the King of Coins, it talks about that it represents stability and faithfulness. The royal turtle is strong enough to support the weight of others' hopes and dreams. He may not be an active participant in their lives, but he is always dependable, slow, and steady. And some words with this are success, dependability, conservatism, strong will, willing to work, as well as corruption, materialism, ruthlessness, authority, and indulgence. So I do not read reversals. I feel like all of these meanings are almost embedded into the card depending on the situation. So right here, when it says describe yourself, I see that it is describing themselves as somebody who is very stable and who is very faithful, as well as somebody who is strong enough and wants to support the weight of others' hopes and dreams, while not being an active participant in their lives, but being very dependable. So I'm gonna write that down. So I also wrote down that it can sometimes lean towards materialism and authority, because those are the reversed ones. So I feel like with something like this, especially since they specifically wrote down the reverse meaning, it is describing themselves. So it does mean, I think, that it can sometimes be a little ruthless, be a little cutthroat in their messaging. Now we're going to look at the King of Swords. The King of Swords represents wisdom enhanced by power. The griffin is a noble and intelligent creature soaring over land and sea, a symbol for patience, perseverance, and judgment. Ooh, so this tells me that this deck is somebody who can sometimes be a little judgy, but is also very patient, has a lot of wisdom. Again, the authority, but is also very loyal and sometimes a little cynical. Okay, so I'm not going to show you all of the interpretations for all of the cards that I'm going to pull for my deck interview, but I will share with you the questions. So usually I ask a question, I place the cards, and then I fill out in Notion. But for this video, I will ask the question, pull out the cards, and then ask next question, then pull out the cards again. So that is what I'm going to do right now. So right now I'm going to ask what their strength is, if they can give me 1 or 2 cards to tell me what the strength is of this deck. So we have 2 cards again. We have the 7 of Swords and the 6 of Swords, which is interesting. Then I'm going to ask for its weakness. What is the weakness of this deck? We have 1 card and 2 cards. Then we have describe me. So I'm asking deck to pull out 1 or 2 cards to let it describe me. What kind of feeling do you get from me right now? Like we've just started working together, but what kind of what way would you describe me? So 1 card actually flipped. So I'm gonna pull that out and see if I can find another one. I don't know, I really like having 2 cards. So I'm gonna pull out this one, the Knight of Swords. Then, what can you teach me? So by working together, what is it that you can teach me? What kind of readings would be most suitable to do with this deck? Oh, and actually 2 came out. 4 of Cups and a Knight of Wands. And then I also want to know, what is the potential of our relationship? So what is the potential of our relationship? What is it that we can do when we work together? And I know that this question kind of seems similar as the last one, but I feel like a relationship is definitely different than just the teaching. So the 8 of Swords came out and the 4 of Wands is underneath it. So I'm gonna keep it at this. So right now I'm gonna fill it out in Notion. So I think that is super interesting. I'm not gonna show you how I interpret all of this, but I'm gonna mostly use this guidebook. And if I feel I need some more information, I have an entire Word document and a table where I have all of my own interpretations of most of the cards that I own. And that is a document that I use for my personal readings as well. So I'm gonna fill that out and then I'll see you again. So that is what I do when I get a new deck. The deck interview, how I shuffle it. So yeah, and then usually I like to shuffle it a couple of times after I've done a deck interview. And usually I don't do like an actual reading right after the deck interview because, it is new and we're new to each other. So I kind of feel like I shouldn't really do a reading yet. So I'll have it be a couple of days or maybe even tomorrow when I pick it up again. Maybe I do the pile shuffling again and then do a reading for myself. But before I use a deck on my channel in a reading, I will do a couple of readings for myself and shuffle it a couple of times so I know that I can confidently read the cards for the reading. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this video. Did you find it helpful? Did you enjoy seeing what I do when I get a new deck? Do you have any rituals or things that you like to do with your new decks? I would absolutely love to know. Please subscribe to this channel if you want to see more videos on tarot. I do pick a card readings, flip throughs, and I want to do more informative tarot videos. So if you're interested in any of that, then I would love to have you here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.